Welcome to James Cotter Field for this site of NCAA Division III women's soccer here on the Beacon Broadcast Network. Tonight, UMass Boston takes on Curry College here at home in Boston. Joined by Seth Orensky, I'm Elijah Gonzalez. Seth, for Curry, they're coming off a tough loss against Framingham State, and for UMass Boston, coming off a tie against UMass Dartmouth. Both of these teams here in this non-conference game trying to tune up for some conference play as we move forward in the slate.
Well, and both of these teams, Curry did suffer defeat. The Beacons, it felt like a defeat because they so heavily outshot UMass Dartmouth this past weekend, 30-13. They never led. They had to score a goal with 99 seconds left. But the Beacons kind of felt like they lost a couple points in a game that would have put them in an even better position in the Little East Conference. Both of these sides, not separated by too much distance, but haven't faced each other a lot. A year ago, it was Curry earning the victory. Curry, back-to-back defeats, but they're sitting okay in CCC play, 0-2-1, a little bit of a rough start against some very talented teams, typically Salve and Wentworth, some of the better teams. So a chance to reset before some big conference games upcoming. And for UMass Boston right now, this team, we talked about it on the last women's broadcast you did, this team feels like they're primed to go off offensively, but they just haven't been able to finish enough. Not saying this will be the night, but the Beacons have shown those signs. They're getting the ball to the right spots, just haven't been able to necessarily get the finishing down to where they're able to put up a big, crooked number, 4 or 5 goals in a game.
And Curry, in that last game against Framingham State, allowed 2 goals after the 68th minute. And Seth, you and I off the air talked about how UMass Boston has really been a second-half team, and they've come alive in some of these games. But that's something that is definitely going to be looked at heavily as we head into this match.
Well, the nickname we have for this Beacons team is the Cardiac Kids. They've scored so many goals from the 80th minute on. They came back against Elms down 2-1. They came back against UMass Dartmouth, scoring the game-tying goal with under 2 minutes to play. Look at the stats on the Beacons. They've scored 4 first-half goals. They've scored 11 of them in the second half and 1 overtime goal. So 12 of the Beacons' 16 goals this year have come in the final 45 minutes in overtime. That's a stat that shows that not only the Beacons may be a little bit better finishing the second half, but they've worn defenses down, and that's what the Beacons want to do with their great depth that they have available to them this year.
And for Curry, for their stats as well, we talked about for UMass Boston what they've brought to the table this season. But Curry, a couple of early wins that brought them a lot of confidence. But lately in conference, that's really where they've struggled, especially offensively.
Well, they got off to such a great start to the season with a lot of shutout victories, really good offense. But recently, the team has struggled. The strength of schedule has gone up a little bit, and their offense just hasn't been able to generate the same kind of success they had. In those first 6 games, they were not only scoring well over 3 goals per game, but they had a shutout in 5 of their first 6 games. Since then, with the exception of one game where they went off against Mass Maritime, they've been held to 2 or fewer goals in every single game, and their defense has been giving up 2, 3, even 4 goals a game.
Let's take a look at the 3 things that we're watching for tonight. We have already touched on a couple of things that we've brought to the table, but you look at for UMass Boston, it's really been a couple of different players that have added to their repertoire so far this year, and one of them being freshman Allie Crawford.
Allie Crawford riding a 5-game point streak, 2 goals and 5 assists, including ridiculous goals in each of her last 2 games here at home, scoring from well outside of 30 yards from the box. She's been one of the best Beacons players on this team, an attacking midfielder who really makes the Beacons go. On the other side, Curry, this is kind of a familiar matchup. This is already their 4th matchup against one of the 9 LEC squads. 1-2 thus far, opened the year with a win over Rhode Island College, who's right about the middle of the Little East. Since then, they've lost to Plymouth State and also suffered a loss, I believe, against Southern Maine. So this is a team that hasn't had the best success against UMass Boston and the Little East, but we'll see how it happens today. Again, last year Curry beat the Beacons 2-1, but this is a totally different looking Beacon squad.
And last year that was the first all-time meeting between the 2 sides, and Curry able to come away with the victory. However, for Curry, they have not come to James Cotter Field, and this will be the first matchup between the 2 sides. Well, let's take a look at some of those highlights from that match against UMass Dartmouth, the 2-2 tie in double overtime. You're watching the Beacon Broadcast Network.
Harlow with a great throw into the box. So Grady wins the foot race. Montreux takes the loose ball, left-footed shot, and it's good. Rita Montreux off the long throw from Harry
what you
Welcome back on the Beacon Broadcast Network here at James Cotter Field. UMass Boston and Curry College getting set for battle here from James Cotter Field. Well, taking a look now at the player to watch, and first we'll start for UMass Boston. And for UMass Boston, it has been Mary Jo Murphy, who's been on an absolute roll for UMass Boston so far this year. Took LEC Rookie of the Week honors along with a game-winning goal against Castleton. Also had an assist in that match against UMass Dartmouth. So for Mary Jo Murphy, definitely somebody to look out for UMass Boston here tonight as they get ready to take on Curry. But you talk about UMass Boston, they come in to this match with a record of 6-3-1 and 2-0-1 in Little East Conference play. And for Curry, they come in at 7-5-1 and 0-2-1 in CCC play. Taking a look at what is ahead for both of these teams, and we'll first start with UMass Boston and take a look at their schedule. Of course, this a non-conference match, but coming up for UMass Boston, they'll have a couple of conference matches, including one at Southern Maine, and then Eastern Connecticut State will come right here on Tuesday, October 9th. I'll have that covered for you right here on the Beacon Broadcast Network, and then Saturday they will head to Plymouth State to take on Plymouth State, and then they will come back home for a match against Framingham State. So for UMass Boston, you look at that schedule, again, a couple of Little East opponents, a couple of road trips, and then also a game at home for UMass Boston. So this is going to be an interesting stretch for the Beacons as they head for these next few games. Step aside, we come back, we'll have kickoff for you here from James Cotter Field. You're watching the Beacon Broadcast Network. Welcome back on the Beacon Broadcast Network, here from James Cotter Field as the UMass Boston Beacons get set to take on Curry College. And Seth, we talked about what UMass Boston has coming up with some Little East Conference opponents, but this is a match for both these teams. Really need to get back into a rhythm. You talked about UMass Boston, that game against UMass Dartmouth where they felt like it really was a loss, a tie against UMass Dartmouth in that match. And for Curry College, just a performance in which Framingham State really played well, especially down the stretch.
Well, it was a match that Curry was able to put 9 shots on frame, but Framingham State's Madison Brown made 9 saves. Curry was doubled up in shots, 24-12, including 16-3 in that second half when they gave up both of their goals. And this Curry team is struggling for goals. Let's be honest. They got off to a really good start because they scored 20 goals in 3 games against teams that aren't the greatest. They put up 7 against Northern Vermont Johnson and then 5 more against Northern Vermont Linden. That's the only time they've gone back-to-back this season on the road. They have to do it today. They played the full 90 yesterday against Framingham State. They're without one of their better players. Kelsey Rainoni, unavailable today. She was called for actually Isabel Shields. I was off by a number. Shields got a yellow and a straight red. She started every game this season for them. In the midfield is also a back, so that's a key loss. The other thing is Maggie Chamberlain's not here, the team's go-to starter as of late, so Caitlin DeMeo is going to be in there. That means that not only is this defense going to have to pick them up because you have a goalie who's fallen a little bit out of favor as of late, but also you're without one of your key players. These forwards are going to have to pick it up. They have not scored enough. And for UMass Boston, okay, you went from playing an overtime game on Thursday last week to playing against UMass Dartmouth in another overtime game. You had tired legs then. Maybe that was a bit of your non-finishing. You have no excuse today. You've had 3 days off, training a little bit light yesterday. This Beacons team should come out hungry, a chance for them to get a little bit of rest and relaxation and now focus on this game before turning their focus to Southern Maine on Saturday.
Touched on Caitlin DeMeo, who at one point this year had a .72 goals against average and had a very hot start. Again, Curry College with a solid start out of conference to begin the year, but in the conference slate, they have struggled, coming in at 0-2-1 on the season in conference play. For Shields, Seth, you mentioned Isabel Shields, 20 games that she played in last year. That was most on the team. 16 of those were starts. So not only has she been a vital part for Curry through this season, but also throughout her career has been a staple for Curry on her career. Well, now we're ready to go, and Curry will open it up for us, and they'll have the ball and start with possession. So we begin this match here right on the dot at 7 o'clock. That one out of bounds. It'd be a throw-in for UMass Boston. Again, the Beacons coming off that game against UMass Dartmouth with a tie and outshot UMass Dartmouth 30-13 in that match. Now another throw-in set to come for UMass Boston. Another thing to note for the Beacons, and a little bit going back to what you touched on, Seth, they never led in that match either.
No, they gave up an early goal off of a long throw in the 7th minute and then gave up a goal in which the Beacons thought a player for UMass Dartmouth illegally played the ball while still on the turf in the 76th before taking the lead. 2 interesting lineup changes for the Beacons. Jacqueline O'Grady, who misses versatility for this Beacons team, typically starts the midfield, moves back to the center back. Well, she played really well in that center forward spot, scored the game-tying goal. She gets to start up front for the first time this year after scoring a huge goal. And no Jalila Ocampo, so Shannon Roseman is in the midfield for the Beacons today.
Grady plays it far side. That one sent in towards the box and deflected away. Now Curry will clear it. What a good opportunity early for UMass Boston. It's chased down by Pitts. Tried to play it back, but it was intercepted and turned over. Maddie Wilson able to intercept that pass. Back and forth we go on the UMass Boston side of the field, but now here come the Beacons with a chance to counter. Heading towards the middle. Long run and sent a little bit too far that time by Allie Crawford. And early and often, Seth, we see the ball at the foot of Allie Crawford. Made a nice move earlier to create some space, but they're creating it again.
Well, Crawford had the first goal for the Beacons and then had the primary assist on the second goal. She's just been so good for UMass Boston, really finding her footing over the last couple of games offensively. It's interesting, though, on that attack, it was UMass Boston 4v4 with the Colonels. The midfield slow to get back, and Curry College was struggling to communicate there. Their back line was kind of a little bit discombobulated. That's not what you want to see if you're Brigida Palatino, because the Beacons are really good when they're able to attack a back line that's not able to account for all four players.
For both these teams, a bit of difference in coaching for both sides. For UMass Boston, 14th year at the helm, or Amy Zombek. And for Curry College, in fact, is Brigida Palatino in her first season with the Colonels after coming over from Mount Ida College, where she was there for 1 year.
The now defunct Mount Ida College. Yep. These two teams have a pretty good relationship, though. They typically play their spring game, where you're allowed one game at the Division III level, or one play date where you can play a team as you're just trying to keep your girls focused on things to work on and just getting some spring practices in so you're ready for the fall. These two teams have played in the spring date the last 3, maybe 4 years, so there are some relationships between the two programs.
That one played forward, and a good ball in towards the middle of the box towards O'Grady, but she tips it and deflected it a bit wide. That was McGettrick that sent that one in low.
A nice ball from McGettrick, and O'Grady tried to toe poke it and just put it a little bit too far wide. Amy Zombek said that she was only going to give Jacqueline O'Grady about 20 minutes up top, just see if she can get that early goal, because occasionally the Beacons have struggled to do that. So you're going to see O'Grady be very aggressive here, but the big focus for Jackie has to be that she's being aggressive while not being selfish, because if she's drawing all this focus, probably has a chance to leave it off for a teammate and find a wide-open teammate, because the Beacons constantly send numbers forward.
And now here comes Colonels down the near side. That one knocked away. Good play defensively by Carly Fahey. But we'll have throw-in, I believe, for Curry College.
Yeah, that was a nice battle between the 15. Samantha Borges has been the one lone high forward right now for Curry as they start in a little bit more of a compact defensive shell. And she's provided a little bit of pressure on the Beacons anytime the ball's gone into the Beacons' defensive half.
And that one played forward but a bit too far and out of bounds. Samantha Borges, 12 games. She's appeared in all of them and started in all of those games. Second leading scorer for Curry College. So that's somebody that, for UMass Boston, they'll have to keep an eye on, especially up top.
And Borges is 4'11". We saw that against UMass Dartmouth. The Beacons played a center back who was 4'11", Kayla Loicano, and we thought that might give the Beacons advantage. Unfortunately, she turned out to be the best defender of the four for UMass Dartmouth. Borges has already shown she doesn't have the prototypical size of that big center forward, but she has tremendous speed. She's going to be a pest that the Beacons have to watch for, even when they're making back passes.
Well, here's O'Grady, and plays it for McGettrick, but lost her footing, and now Curry College able to take it away. Lots of back and forth early between the two sides. Haven't had really an excellent chance for either team as Wade chases it down. But a good play by Borges, just can't keep it in, and we'll get a goal kick for UMass Boston and Abby McCulloch.
Well, and Borges just didn't give up on that play. Kenya Wade thought that she had her easily beat, and then Borges just absolutely flying. She might not play 90 minutes today. She might be out there and be told, I need you to run hard for 45 minutes, 20 in each half. But either way, it seems like she's following the game plan, because she's put a little bit of pressure on the Beacons, even when they have 3 or 4 players back, and she's the lone player attacking.
Played back towards the middle now. Again, non-conference matchup for both these teams, but know the importance of those. Try and get some players reps and get them prepared for that conference slate as that one rolls out over the touchline for a throw-in, just a bit to the left of that flag. And for UMass Boston, they've got a couple of interesting matchups coming up in Little East Conference play.
Well, Southern Maine took Western Connecticut State the distance, a 2-1 double overtime loss this past Saturday at home. So not a team you can look past. And then the big game against EastCon Tuesday night in a matchup that could determine who's the number 1 seed in the LEC.
That one played towards the middle. Now in front, here's O'Grady with a good shot off the right foot, and it's in the back of the net. It's a goal for O'Grady, and Seth, you touched on it at the top. Aggressive play from O'Grady, and a goal is the result.
Just terrific tic-tac-toe passing. Jackie actually delayed there because she couldn't believe how much space she was given, and an easy goal for UMass Boston.
So the goal for O'Grady, and that is goal number 4 on the season for O'Grady. And Curry College will now have to play from behind. It's a 1-0 lead for UMass Boston, and it's McGettrick that'll pick up the assist.
Assist to number 17, Grace McGettrick.
Played towards the middle. Borges left it over far side, but taken away by the Beacons as they look to go on to the attack. Played middle, but a turnover there. Back and forth. Chase to that ball, and it deflects off a purple jersey. So it'll go out of bounds and a throw-in for UMass Boston. And that last sequence for the Beacons, a good ball from McGettrick, but how about O'Grady able to handle it inside the box, had some real estate and time, and just put it right over the top of the keeper.
Well, O'Grady has a really powerful right leg. She's taken a lot of free kicks this season for UMass Boston. She can put a ball on net from 35, 40 yards out. So it's really easy for her when given that much time, and that was the issue for Curry. Not only letting McGettrick slip that pass for O'Grady, but giving O'Grady time, no one stepping to the ball. O'Grady just had to figure out, okay, I'm taking on a keeper who's listed at 5'6". If I get enough height on this, there's nothing she could do. The biggest emphasis was putting it on frame, and then it was picking out her spot. And O'Grady's been able to do that the last couple of games when she started to get hot offensively.
And now the question becomes, what does this do to the confidence of DeMeo, who started the season for Curry, and here in a non-conference match getting the nod as well, with Chamberlain not making the trip. But again, Curry has had their struggles here these last few games, including that last loss against Framingham State. And for a team in UMass Boston that has been known to strike late, and especially in that second half, an early strike could be tough for Curry to rebound from here in this match.
Well, and DeMeo's played well this year. I mean, she started each of the team's first 7-8 games, but for whatever reason, she hasn't seen a lot of time late. Problem was, she didn't have a chance on that play. Her defense needs to be better in cutting down these passes. So the Beacons nearly get in behind the defense once again.
That was Morgan Palma on the far side, the freshman streaking down. It'll be a throw-in for UMass Boston, but like you mentioned, Seth, that was a play where Palma was onside, almost able to get behind that back line of the Colonels.
This is just the third time in 11 games that DeMeo has given up a goal this season.
Cleared away on a ball that was played in for McGettrick. And now Curry has it on the far side. Tough battle there. And it rolls out of bounds for a UMass Boston throw-in. That's something early, Seth, that's been playing in the favor of the Beacons. They've won a lot of balls near that touchline and have drawn a few throw-ins.
Big part of it is just the skill of this Beacons team, especially on the far side. Mary Jo Murphy is one of the most skilled left backs you're going to see, and it shows when the Beacons will send her forward when they're trailing or need a late goal, because she was such a talented player in high school, scoring close to 30 goals as a high school senior. When you have players who have the foot skills to extend the play just long enough to keep the ball in bounds when it looks like it's going to go out, you're going to have a better chance to retain possession. Maybe they're going to make that good pass forward. Anytime you have that kind of skill from the back line, and the Beacons have good skill in all of their backs, it creates additional pressure because Curry can't just relax when the ball's at the feet of the back four. They're looking for probing passes. They're looking to start the attack. Even McCulloch is a big part of the Beacons' attack. She is a very good passer.
Wade almost lost the handle there, and now it's turned over. Long shot. McCulloch able to handle that one with ease. We talked about 9 shots for Curry in their last match against Framingham State, and nothing to show for it. After 9 saves were made by the Framingham State keeper. McCulloch will play it back just outside the 6, and now will corral it and pick it up. UMass Boston in front 1-0 here at James Cotter Field in a non-conference matchup on this Thursday evening. Worked in towards the middle, lots of space here. And the shot is blocked. Good chance there for Rosemont. And now it's cleared back down towards the UMass Boston side, but Rosemont able to work with a lot of real estate there in the middle. Decided to take the long shot instead of going to play that ball in.
It was a nice job by Shea Breslin, though, stepping to her. We've seen Curry give UMass Boston's players way too much space in the attacking half, and that time Breslin was able to step in front because that could have been a difficult ball inside the 6.
There's a good touch pass there from McGettrick. Played forward in for O'Grady off a couple of bodies, and now O'Grady goes down, and we will get a penalty kick. It was O'Grady inside the box, a great ball in that came from Crawford. So O'Grady now, and she looks like she's going to take it.
UMass Boston penalty kick, taken by number 7, Jacqueline O'Grady.
So Jacqueline O'Grady will send it for UMass Boston, and a golden opportunity for O'Grady here.
And look for O'Grady to go low and on one of the corners, just trying to beat the keeper, DeMeo.
O'Grady lines it up, awaiting the referee's whistle. Here it is, O'Grady shot low to the corner, and she missed it wide. A good play by DeMeo, guessed right, and O'Grady hooks it a little bit too far towards that far post. So DeMeo able to hold there, and Curry College dodges a bullet. O'Grady was in on the keeper, and then a defensive play that the Colonels made on that back line took O'Grady to the deck, and unfortunately for UMass Boston, just unable to capitalize on the penalty kick there.
Yeah, and O'Grady tried to be maybe a little bit too perfect there. She probably had the space to beat DeMeo, but DeMeo guessed the right way. And that's big for Curry, because if you find yourself down 2-0 after losing each of your past 2 games by multiple goals and not scoring a goal in your last 2, then your head's really hanging low. Already they're dealing with tired legs. Being without one of their better players in Isabel Shields. Right now, this is more about the mental aspect for Curry than anything else, because when you're going poorly, if you fall behind early, then it's really easy to just give up on the game. They need to find something in this game that'll get them back in it.
Played towards the middle, knocked away, not to mention tired legs. They played a match last night against Framingham State before coming here to Boston to take on the Beacons. O'Grady, nice move, tried to send it in low, knocked away. And back out. And Kenya Wade having to retreat. Goes out of bounds off Borges. Be another throw-in for UMass Boston. But a great ball in as well from Allie Crawford, who got that pass on the one-touch from McGettrick. And now McGettrick tries to send O'Grady towards the corner. She does, but O'Grady can't keep it in before the cross, and will get a goal kick for Caitlin DeMeo.
Well, and remember, we talked about that 20 minutes of offense. Well, right now, Jackie O'Grady's had about 15. She's had 2 chances. It's also interesting, Curry just sent their entire bench to start warming up. Every available player just started warming up, so maybe Curry's going to play this game in shifts as they try to get some fresh legs out there. We could be looking at 7 or 8 subs, depending on how Brigida Palatino wants to use this game, because with respect to both of these teams, because of some of the losses that they've accrued, they're not looking at it any kind of at-large bid. So this game doesn't matter as much in terms of results as it does in terms of trying to gain some positive momentum before conference play.
And one of those players that's loosening up is not Isabel Shields, who's out for tonight's game after the red card. And a good move by what looked like Maddie Wilson. And instead it was taken away by Kenya Wade, but not before you have a foul here. It's going to go against Curry College.
No, it's just going to be a throw-in. Say
Okay.
that one was off Wade, off another player before it went out.
Played towards the middle. Now a long ball for O'Grady trying to chase it down. Palma was there in the area as well. Pitts battling through a couple of purple jerseys, and we've got a foul that goes on Curry College. So now an opportunity for UMass Boston.
And I think that was Caitlin DeMayo, the goalie's sister, Amanda, just gave Pitts a little bit of a late shove, and that's tough because now you have Crawford, who's been so good on free kicks this season, picking out her player with a lot of bodies heading towards the box.
Now she finds Biliak on the far side, works it into the 18, sends it in, and it is just over the top, found O'Grady. It looked like O'Grady just tried to use the body to guide it in, but put it just over the top bar.
I think that caught the top of her knee. She should have a hat trick at this point. Again, 20 minutes, you have to be aggressive. She's done that. That was a great drawn-up play. No one went with Biliak. Biliak being unselfish there, recognizing she didn't quite have the angle with players trying to close her down. A perfect pass back post, found her player, and unfortunately for O'Grady, just couldn't get it down in time as it was just past her reach.
And the deflection, like you mentioned, I think if that hits any other part of the body, that's in the back of the net, but hit that top part of the knee, and it rode the momentum over the bar. So UMass Boston misses another golden opportunity, but had the penalty kick and another great chance, and now here they go on the attack once again. Far side for the Beacons. O'Grady in the middle. They play it back a little bit further for Palma. Shoots it with the left foot, and it looked like it did not get deflected, so it goes out of play. It'll be a goal kick for Curry College.
And what I really liked about that attack was the Beacons are kind of changing up. Rosemond is playing that attacking mid-spot. We've seen her a lot on the near side as the Beacons try to attack from right to left. That time she's the overlapping run on the far side, setting up Palma, who did a nice job, but realistically, a couple players too close to her and didn't get much behind the shot. If the more unselfish this Beacons team can be here with the amount of space they're being given and the passes they're picking out, the more likely they are to get some goals, because at this point the Beacons might be able to pass the ball into the back of the net.
Play near side to Wilson. She'll try and play it towards the middle, and will. Over far side, it's Randall. Our leading scorers on this Curry College team. Long shot, and McCulloch has no problem with it. And Seth, obviously we don't know the exact looks that they got against Framingham State, but they put a couple on target that just really haven't tested keeper for UMass Boston, McCulloch, so far.
No, Abby McCulloch really hasn't been challenged at all. She's had a couple touches on back passes, but right now it's just Curry trying to sustain the Beacons' pressure.
Palma takes a shot, and that one trickled by everybody and right to the foot of DeMayo. DeMayo, the junior goalkeeper out of North Andover, Massachusetts.
And I like the aggression from Morgan Palma, but just needs to take a little bit more time. She's a freshman who's trying to get that second goal. Beacons got the early one, and they thought maybe we can run away with this, and we talked about it. We think they're going to have one of those games. We weren't sure if it would be tonight, but Palma's taken two strikes that are just a little bit too quick. She rushed them, and both times really didn't put any pressure on DeMayo.
Long ball for O'Grady, but it's cut down. And like we talked about, UMass Boston's already had a couple of chances that probably should have been in the back of the net. But unfortunately for the Beacons, were unable to find goal. And now Curry College with it. Played forward, but cut off there. Time of possession has been dominated by the team in white. Crawford plays it towards the middle of the field.
It's a perfect ball from Crawford, changing the point of attack and right onto the feet of Palma.
Worked in towards the middle now. Mary Jo Murphy. That one played back. Mary Jo Murphy, of course, honored by the Little East Conference this past week. Played forward. Here's O'Grady. Jacqueline O'Grady takes a shot, right foot off the post. And that one is going to be cleared out by the Colonels. But again, that could be essentially the fourth goal for Jacqueline O'Grady. It knocks off the post. And now it'll be a throw-in for UMass Boston.
That was such a nice ball from Cal Pitts. O'Grady made a great run, but didn't quite have the space there. The angle was kind of closing out on her. And really, that was a little bit tough, but she certainly should already have the hat trick.
That one goes out of play, and we'll get a couple of new faces, both for Curry College as well as for UMass Boston.
Checking in for Curry College
So it's Felicity Monfils that checks in. Kate Leavitt checks in for UMass Boston. And now played towards the middle here. Lindsay Buscarin checks in. So UMass Boston electing to make some substitutions here in this first half. That one played towards the middle, headed and just wide of the target there. Another great opportunity. It looked like Palma in front.
Yeah, and it was Biliak again. She's had two terrific feeds for UMass Boston here in the first half. Biliak's been battling for playing time with a really talented freshman in Jackie Turner, but today she got the start and she's played extremely well. A couple of really good passes for her teammates, and Palma's been a little bit more aggressive than we've seen her. That's a good thing to see for UMass Boston. Buscarin in for O'Grady in that role, and Kate Leavitt, this might be a game where they try to stretch her out just a little bit more as one of the Beacons captains comes back from an injury.
Long ball, McCulloch chases it and gets there first. As that was trying to be chased down by Borges there. Wade will get the feed from McCulloch. And now it's at the foot of Biliak, who already has a couple of good crosses inside into the box. Now tried to send Buscarin there on a run, but goes right through her legs. Trying to chase it down as Buscarin. She'll get there right before the end line. Sends it towards the middle. Nobody there. And it's cleared away. Will it get out for a corner? Hits the flag and stays there. It's still in.
Buscarin. Right on the line.
That's a new one. That one played towards the middle and low. Hit right off the corner flag and just stayed put. That's a header right in front, and it's picked up easily by DeMeo as it bounces right to her.
That time it was Cal Pitts, who's been a really nice player for the Beacons in terms of distribution here in this game going forward, as the Beacons have mixed and matched what parts of their midfield go forward. But right now for Curry, they just don't know where the attack is going to come from.
Cleared away. It'll be a throw-in for Curry, as it was cleared out by Fahey. And this really the first time for Curry that they will have something to try and set up a sustained possession on the offensive side of the field.
They just have actual bodies forward. Typically it's just been Borges the player in the ball.
And quickly it's sent away, and now another long attempt that McCulloch just has to pick out of the air, and here come the Beacons quickly on the attack. Murphy with it far side, plays middle. And now UMass Boston with numbers moving forward. Scarin moves it towards the middle, leaves it now in the middle of the field. Switch to Biliak now. Plays a touch there to McGetrick. McGetrick working her way in, tried to find Buscarin a bit too far, and it rolls out over the end line for a goal kick. But once again, UMass Boston creating some chances here. And now Curry College will make a substitution.
Checking in for Curry College, number 25.
It'll be Sarah Stearns, the freshman, that comes in for Curry College. Still starting to dig into the bench, but not into players who haven't seen time for Curry this year. For Stearns, she's appeared in all 13 games, hasn't started one, but a veteran regarding appearance so far this year for the Colonels.
Elijah, going back to that last attack where Buscarin wasn't able to handle the ball, the Beacons have done a really nice job. Keep talking about the point of attack and maybe the players going forward. That time Buscarin not only played as the holding forward, but she played as a distributor to start the attack. And Allie Crawford, who we're used to seeing set up and look for that long ball, actually was playing in a center forward spot. UMass Boston is mixing and matching, and Curry can't identify exactly which players are going to push forward, and it's made it really challenging.
That one played a ball forward here down the far side, now in towards Buscarin, and corralled out of the air, that time by DeMeo. But again, Seth, talking about the point of attack, and it's come from about every angle, and there's not a lot of white jerseys in one specific area. They've spread this field, and they've used that to their advantage as well. Kind
of feels like it's a training session, realistically, where the Beacons are just mixing and matching, and the coaching staff is saying, go left, go center, go right. This time I want the number 6 to go forward. This time I want the number 8 to go forward. It's been it's been fun to watch if you're a Beacons fan, but I think the one issue is the scoreboard shows 1 for the Beacons. It should be 3 or 4, and that's keeping Curry in this game.
So a substitution now for UMass Boston, as McGetrick will be replaced.
Number 2, Grace Oliver.
And it'll be Grace Oliver that will stroll in for UMass Boston. Oliver out of Rockland, Massachusetts, into the contest. Buscarin there battling with a couple of purple jerseys, and that's another thing, Seth. It's taken a few purple jerseys on one white jersey to get that ball away.
Well, especially from Buscarin, who has a bigger body and is really good at using it. She's a very strong player who has started to come into her own over the last couple of games after spending her freshman year at Wheaton. It's not easy to take the ball off a player like Buscarin, especially considering she has some of the best footwork on the team.
Sent out of bounds just before it rolled out for a corner. That was played out by Jocelyn Diamond. Played in. Back for Biliak. And again, UMass Boston will have another throw-in. Seeking out Buscarin now, who tried to send it in. It was deflected, and it'll be the first corner of the evening for either side. And it comes with 17:29 to go. So a corner kick for UMass Boston.
UMass Boston corner kick taken by number 2, Grace Oliver.
Grace Oliver set to send it in with the left foot.
And Oliver, the big lefty, is going to try to send an in-swinger here.
Sends it to the back post, headed back towards the middle, but there's a purple jersey to knock it away. Biliak battling at the top of the box, but cleared away, and it'll be a throw-in for UMass Boston. And again, though, Seth, that did not look comfortable for Curry on that ball in towards the box from Oliver.
Every single loose ball in the attacking half is being won by UMass Boston, which is a real problem. But here the Beacons give it up in a bad spot.
Fahey turns it over, and now the Jets turned on. That's a long shot and a bit high for Randall, who took that shot from distance. But good closing speed there by the Beacons to close that one down and give an opportunity now for a goal kick. But again, you talked about it, Seth. This game could be a 3-goal, 4-goal possible deficit for Curry, but instead they're hanging around. It's only a 1-0 deficit.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Jacqueline O'Grady score early, then miss a PK, have another ball go over the frame from about 6 inches away from goal, and then she hit the post. That's all O'Grady. The Beacons have had some other chances, but with her not finishing as much as she probably should have, it's allowed Curry to stick around, and it just takes one. It takes one for a team like Curry, who's been shut out in back-to-back games, back-to-back losses, to get that confidence back, because this is a good team. They're over 500. They have 7 wins. They're capable, but right now they're just in a bad mental space, as well as, well, maybe a tactical space as well.
Played on a handball by Pitts, and it will be a free kick for Curry College, who trails 1-0 with 15:40 to go in the first half of action. Here from James Cotter Field. Be a free kick, and it's sent downfield, deflected away, and now Grace Oliver has it at her foot, and she plays it forward for Buscarin, who's going to get there first. She'll chase it down, trying to work inside the box, and does. Buscarin plays towards the middle, and it was knocked away. Oliver with it now. She'll take a shot from the top of the box, and that one's deflected and blocked. Palma was trying to get there for the rebound, but it was cleared away before she could. Biliak tried to send it back in. Now here's Wade. Wade plays it, and she'll move forward. That's what you're talking about, Seth. Biliak dropped back that time and let Wade try and create the attack. Pitts lost the handle there, but gets it right back and gets it to Crawford, who makes another nice move. Gets to her left foot, shoots a long shot, but right at DeMeo. And she handles that one with ease, but again, another opportunity for UMass Boston that was created with not just one chance, but about 2 or 3 that gave them a good look at goal.
That was a great play by Shea Breslin to get in front of her keeper. DeMeo was right behind her, probably was going to make that save on the shot from Oliver at the top of the box, but giving up the body, that's what Curry needs to do a little bit more. Take some of the pressure off DeMeo, because this team just hasn't been defensively strong, at least strong enough. They've now given up 5 goals in their last, or 7 goals in their last almost 5 halves. That's just not a good enough tally for a team that wants to compete in the Commonwealth Coast Conference.
And now we'll have a substitution here for both sides.
Checking in for UMass
Boston, number 19, Eryn Kelly.
As Eryn Kelly comes in, she replaces Cal Pitts.
College, number 35, Hannah Whalen.
And Hannah Whalen makes her first appearance of the match. Whalen has appeared in 8 games for Curry College, so has not appeared in every match thus far.
Well, the nice thing for Curry is that they don't have that Saturday conference game you typically see, so they're off till the 9th. But also you don't want, typically when you play back-to-back games, especially when you're running a lot and maybe you're on the back foot defensively, you don't want someone to get hurt because they're just a little bit overtired. You don't play a lot of back-to-backs in collegiate soccer and lose that player for next week when you do have a couple conference games.
That one is going to be a shot from Wilson after she took that one off the foot of Leavitt. Hit the deck, but no call was made. Hasn't seen as much of the physical play as well so far in this match. A couple of good clean tackles from both sides. UMass Boston's had a couple of chances thanks to their play in the midfield. Now it's Curry trying to get their first real opportunity here. That one played in towards the box. Has to be deflected away by Wade and Fahey. And now Wade just clears it away with the left foot. And that really looked like the first opportunity where UMass Boston on that back line didn't look as comfortable as they have these past couple of chances by Curry College.
Well, that's the best Curry's look. They were able to piece some passes together, open up the Beacons' defense a little bit, and a little bit of hesitation between those 2 freshman center backs that are still working to get even more chemistry. That was a really nice bit of possession for Curry. Not able to really pressure McCulloch, but at least able to show they can generate some offense.
Here's a long ball through, and Murphy tried to send it in. That one was deflected.
I think that was actually
Palma. It looked like, on the far side.
Close to a handball. It was tucked in, but that hand coming out, it definitely hit around the midsection where the hand was. And the Beacons get a rare corner kick. I think it'll be Buscarin to take this one.
And it will be, and Crawford creeping over there as well.
UMass Boston corner kick taken by number 36, Lindsay Buscarin.
Buscarin looking in. Instead, she'll play it short to Crawford. Crawford makes a nice move around the defender, sends it towards goal, and it just goes and sails high over a goal. You could see that, Seth, starting to develop. Crawford snuck over, and then with a nice move around the defender, had some space, just sent it a bit too high.
It's one of the Beacons' corner kick plays that they've gone with this year. Beacons actually scored the game-winning goal against Castleton on a similar play. It wasn't drawn up that way, but the ball ended up coming out to Crawford, or coming out to Mary Jo Murphy, and then they created a 2v1 mismatch and scored from a similar angle.
Here's Oliver. Leaves it for Crawford. Crawford thought about it, now gives it off. A shot by Pitts into the back of the net. That's a goal for UMass Boston.
Who do we have on the...
And that should be a goal there for UMass Boston. And it was Eryn Kelly that puts it in the back of the net.
Assist to number 25, Allie Crawford, and number 2, Grace Oliver.
So Oliver and Crawford on the assist, and Eryn Kelly finds the back of the net. But for DeMeo there, that one just kind of slipped right by her. A good chance for UMass Boston. Just goes right by the keeper, Caitlin DeMeo, and it's now a 2-0 lead for UMass Boston. And Seth, for UMass Boston, they have to be saying, maybe finally that one able to creep into the back of the net.
Well, first off, really unselfish play. Oliver could have taken the shot. She left it off for Crawford, who could have taken the shot. She leaves it off for the onrushing Kelly, who really nice left-footed shot. But give credit to Lindsay Buscarin there. Still on from an onside position. Got in the face there. A little bit of DeMeo at least made it difficult for her to see that shot. And DeMeo looked as if she saw it a little bit late, diving with it just barely getting past her.
Now a substitution set to come in as Palma will check out.
Checking in for UMass Boston, number 9, Katie Pasquale.
And it'll be Katie Pasquale entering the game for the Beacons. Lead at 2-0. Thanks in part to a pair of goals. One from O'Grady and one from Eryn Kelly. Now here's Crawford in the middle of the field. He's created some opportunities, finds Oliver. Both had the assist on that last goal. Oliver turns with it, gives it back to Kelly. Plays middle, Leavitt. Now Kelly trying to switch the field, and Biliak has to retreat to get it. Biliak plays it forward. She's got Crawford behind the defense. Allie Crawford with it on her foot. Right-footed shot into the goal. Into the back of the net for Allie Crawford, and UMass Boston has taken a 3-0 lead on the goal by Allie Crawford, and a beautiful ball in from Taylor Biliak.
Assist to number 8, Taylor Biliak.
So Biliak with the assist. UMass Boston starting to pull away. It's now a 3-0 advantage for the Beacons. Again, just really starting to add to the totals here as this game continues. And you could look at the score right now, and for UMass Boston, had a lot of chances early, were unable to capitalize, and now those chances are starting to become goals for UMass Boston.
Well, that was just a perfect pass by Biliak, recognizing Curry's playing the high line, and Crawford, who's been a lot more attack-minded today, making a really nice run in behind the defense, and then a nice chip over the keeper for a second goal in about 3 or 4 minutes.
So a substitution comes in for Curry, as they will have a new player come on. And a couple of numbers coming in as well for UMass Boston shortly. So the Colonels make a couple of changes, and now the Beacons will counter that on the next dead ball. So we wait from the official to let him in.
Well, and what I love right now, we keep talking about the point of attack, which typically is a football, even a basketball thing rather than soccer, is that the Beacons have a goal from the center forward who started this game. But they also have 2 goals from midfielders, including Kelly, who's playing a defensive midfielder role.
That one knocked away and cleared away by UMass Boston.
And for Kelly, that was her first collegiate goal.
So Eryn Kelly puts that on the board here. And Allie Crawford trying to chase it down, knocked down, and we'll get a foul called on Curry, as could tell that one might have been coming. Crawford beat Jocelyn Diamond to the ball. Diamond stuck the foot out. Crawford able to get up, though. No cards awarded. And Biliak will send this one downfield for UMass Boston.
Biliak's been one of the Beacons' best offensive players today, despite playing that right back spot. She easily could have 3 assists in this game and already has 1.
There's another good ball into the box that Buscarin was chasing. Now here's Oliver with it inside the 18. Has it, plays it over far side. Opportunity now, and a shot that is blocked in right into the hands, that time of DeMeo, and a good opportunity there from Katie Pasquale.
Yeah, that's a nice job by Oliver, recognizing that the pressure was there. Pasquale, who's one of those freshmen looking for a first goal, a little bit more aggressive and selfish, but I like that. That was a decent effort, just didn't get enough behind the shot to really bother DeMeo.
Leavitt with it. Tried to get it to Oliver. I think she might have thought that could have been offsides, but instead just let it roll right back to Caitlin DeMeo. 3-0 advantage for UMass Boston here in this non-conference matchup against Curry. Allie Crawford with it now. UMass Boston coming off that tie against UMass Dartmouth. For UMass Boston, that was their first one of the season. And again, really a match where they never led in that one, but seemed to have the majority of the opportunities throughout that match.
Well, they outshot Dartmouth 30-13. I think they put 12 or 13 shots on goal. It's a tremendous goaltending performance.
Now here's an opportunity for the Colonels. Long shot, and McCulloch able to handle it easily after Samantha Borges tried to move in for a chance there on McCulloch. But again, good closing speed from Kenya Wade. That shot was taken from just outside the 18. Not a lot of real estate for Borges either.
No, I mean, and that's what you want if you're having McCulloch. Just make it a little bit more difficult. Pressure her. Make her take that shot before she wants to. Make her take that shot from further out. McCulloch has the confidence in herself that she's going to be able to make the save.
Now we'll have a couple of more substitutes coming in, and the Beacons will be the ones to make the change.
Checking on for UMass Boston, number 16, Bailey Rhodes, and number 14,
It'll be Bailey Rhodes and Hannah Nolan to make their way into the contest for UMass Boston. So a pair of freshmen.
And a pair of freshmen who saw a decent amount of time early. The Beacons have kind of tightened their rotation a bit as of late, and with the return of Kate Leavitt, that's kind of taken some of Rhodes' playing time. Hannah Nolan's lost some playing time to O'Grady playing up top. It's a chance for those two to see a lot of run time in this game.
Here's Oliver tried to send it in. It was deflected by Diamond, and it'll be a corner kick for UMass Boston, and Grace Oliver set to take it for the Beacons.
UMass Boston corner kick taken by
Hannah Nolan played in 5 matches so far on the year for the Beacons. Now a kick swung in towards the middle of the box and sent away by the Colonels, but again, a good opportunity with a couple of white jerseys there, just unable to get the head on it.
I mean, Elijah, there were 3 Beacons just outside of the top of the 6th, and no purple shirts anywhere close to them. That is a cardinal sin on a corner kick. The only reason Curry got away with it is because the 3 Beacons were a little too tight. If one player had called the others off, probably would have been a shot on target, maybe even a goal.
And a substitution now coming in. This time it's Curry that makes a change, and Lauren Clapper will come on. Samantha Borges takes a seat. So now Colonel's trying to counter the Beacons, making some changes here in this match. And for UMass Boston, again, you don't want to tire the legs out. You have a couple of big matches coming up, but again, this was a team that started off this match in really a rhythm, and now able to turn that rhythm into a few goals. It's a 3-0 lead. We'll see how much longer they decide to keep some of the starters out there in that second half.
Well, and the position I'm most interested in is, when do we see the backup goalies come in? We've yet to see anyone but Abby McCulloch play in net. Caroline Richards, along with Miranda Smith, they both want to see time, and this is a great chance, already leading by 3 goals.
Here's Buscarin. She'll take a long shot with the right foot, and it got deflected by a Colonel there. And again, the Colonel's able to get their body in front, and Oliver will take the corner kick here.
UMass Boston corner kick, taken by number 2, Grace Oliver.
So chalk up another corner for UMass Boston. And now we'll see if they can produce a goal. There have been a couple of good chances. Oliver swings this one in again, headed towards the goal, and it's in the back of the net. It's a goal for UMass Boston. And for the Beacons, they have now made another great opportunity and able to finish that chance. It's 4-0.
And the only question is, who got that? Again,
it looked like it was Leavitt that was there.
We're going to double-check on the video. We've got a delayed feed that's going to help us out, but it did look as if it was Leavitt, which would be her first goal of the season.
So that one played in by Oliver. Picked up by McCulloch now. And she'll send it to Biliak. Wade with it now. Gives it back to Biliak. So UMass Boston chalks up another here in this first half with just 1:52 to go. It's a 4-0 advantage. Fahey with it now. Couple of good moves to keep that ball away. And now played forward by the Beacons. And it was Kate Leavitt that was able to put it home. So her first goal of the year for the Beacons. And again, she was there in front of the net. There were a couple of white jerseys, but again, Seth, the reason it was hard for us to tell, a lot of unmarked white jerseys inside the box.
It's been the case time and time again. The Beacons finally able to finish off of a free kick.
So cleared away now. And played to the middle. But sent right back down to Wade. With under a minute to go. Out is McCulloch. She comes out, makes the play.
And the crazy part about this first half is you look at the wasted chances from Jacqueline O'Grady early when she could have had a hat trick in the first 15 minutes. The Beacons already have more goals in this game than they've scored in a single game all season and there's still 45.5 minutes to play.
Played towards the middle now. 4-0 lead for UMass Boston as we trickle down to the 30-second mark here in this first half. And for both sides, going to go back and really look at some things, but for Curry, big question mark has been that back line.
10, 9,
and how they can
8,
find a way to stop this elusive UMass Boston attack.
4,
Kenya Wade trying to send it forward. Now here's a long shot. That one goes over the bar, and it ends the first half of action. A great opportunity for the Beacons here in this match, and so far they have delivered. It's a 4-0 lead here as we head towards the break. We'll step aside and take a look at the men's soccer highlights from their win last Wednesday over Castleton, a 5-0 victory for UMass Boston in that match. You're watching the Beacon Broadcast Network here from James Cotter Field.
Eryn Kelly with a great throw into the box. So Grady wins the foot race. This Montreux takes the loose ball, left footed shot, and it's good. Maria Montreux off a long throw from Eryn Kelly. Equally goal overtime, trying to play clean for it. They're way out of the bottom, only scores on Campbell. Campbell inside, starts and then into the end forward. Crawford for Murphy, go right back for Crawford. Good business, and will do so. Hard shot.
Cause hunting is what she likes.
Welcome back on the Beacon Broadcast Network. Elijah Gonzalez, Seth Orensky here with you at James Cotter Field as the UMass Boston Beacons have a lead over the Curry College Colonels by a score of 4-0 at the halftime break. And Seth, you look at the halftime stats for UMass Boston, and really it's been a dominant performance, especially offensively. But how about defensively? Just one foul in this match for UMass Boston. They've done a good job of taking that ball away, especially right near outside that 18-yard box.
With the exception of the one pass from Carly Fahey that was intercepted and almost caused a really good chance for Curry College, the Beacons have minimized Curry's ability to do anything in the offensive half. They've come up with timely interceptions. And realistically, you look at this UMass Boston side, and they're playing as complete a game as possible. It helps that Curry's obviously struggling. This is not the same Curry team that probably was playing so well a couple of weeks ago when they were posting shutout after shutout. But you have no ability to counter how good your opponent is once the schedule comes out. So the Beacons are taking advantage. And what I really want to see here in the second half is the Beacons to keep the pedal to the metal while resting some of their starters. Can these players who have been looking for that time, Bailey Rhodes, Hannah Nolan, Katie Pasquale, Kate Leavitt, who's been injured, can those players make an impact? No Jalila Ocampo today was typically the player who makes everything go. Haven't seen any kind of letdown. Can we see the same if Allie Crawford sits for 25 minutes, if Mary Jo Murphy sits because she's been effective? Honestly, the one player I want to see keep playing because she hasn't seen as much time is Taylor Biliak, because she has been really good offensively and has also been really good defensively. Chance to see her play the full 90. And if she keeps playing like this, I think she deserves to start against Southern Maine on Saturday, could be a split time between her and Jackie Turner, but Biliak, who struggled at times against pacey forwards, has looked really good today. And Borges does look like she's a pretty pacey forward, but the Beacons have nullified her ability.
And Borges so far, a couple of shots on goal as well, but Biliak also contributing on the offensive end, as you mentioned, Seth, with an assist in this match. And then Kate Leavitt, who you talked about as well, with a goal for UMass Boston already in the match. Well, it's Diversity and Inclusion Week here at UMass Boston, and the UMass Boston SAC members were able to answer the question of what does diversity and inclusion mean to you? Here's what it means to them here on the Beacon Broadcast Network.
Diversity and inclusion means to me supporting athletes from all over the world.
Diversity to me is unity, and with diversity there comes knowledge, with culture and of other people. Through diversity we can expand and grow as human beings, and we can become one.
So when I hear the word diversity, I think of everybody coming together as one big team, as one big family. No matter where you come from, no matter where you grew up, no matter where you live now, we all come into the world of athletics to do one job, to play a sport that we love.
Diversity is important to me because when I decided to play college soccer, I didn't only decide to play because I could advance my athletic skills, but also because I could advance my social skills. And it's really nice being introduced and exposed to different cultures to help me develop as a person.
Diversity is a group of various cultures and beliefs that work together to be a team.
It's different but inclusive.
I know in the men's tennis team we have a lot of different people from different countries, and it's interesting to see where people come from and how they've grown up and how we all gel together. At the beginning it's very hard, but getting to know everyone's background and just being able to deal with it and just, gel together.
UMass Boston is full of diversity. It is honestly a privilege to be able to meet so many people from different cultures, backgrounds, religions, ethnicities, but it's also important to remember to be sensitive to how people want to be treated.
Diversity to me is equality in each team member on each team across every nation. Diversity to me is no discrimination in race, age, or religion. Partnership is diversity.
So diversity brings different cultures together on the team and helps us mesh as a group.
Diversity to me is setting aside any types of differences and finding similarities.
Diversity to me means all race and all kinds get together as a community and be one.
Everyone including everyone.
To me, diversity means going above and beyond to include people of all different backgrounds, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, socioeconomic status, everything like that.
Diversity is important because, especially on a team, when people bring different backgrounds and different cultures and different ways of thinking about problems or whatever it may be, it really keeps us as a tight-knit team. And, there's a sense of togetherness because when you have all these differences off the field in whatever parts of life it may be, and you can put those aside and be like one unit on the field is really important.
Welcome back on the Beacon Broadcast Network. The Beacons on top 4-0 over top of the Curry College Colonels, and it's time now to take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and it's not a very busy one tonight. Keene State and Salve, that one a 0-0 tie in the first half. But Seth, you look at a couple of matches, of course, a lot of Little East Conference teams not in action tonight, but for UMass Boston just trying to get their feet, get their rhythm back, because they have a couple of big Little East Conference games coming up in the near future.
Well, we can't overlook Southern Maine on Saturday because we didn't watch the tape of the WestCon game, but clearly Southern Maine provided WestCon a really difficult contest on Saturday. Double overtime game. WestCon was expected to go into Gorham and roll. So the Beacons cannot, especially having to travel up to Gorham, that Huskies team has been a lot more successful this year, can't overlook that one. But the big, juicy game from a broadcaster perspective is that Tuesday night game, 7 o'clock. You have EastCon, who won the regular season title a year ago. They've lost just one conference game in their last 29. That came against Western Connecticut State last week. So they already have a loss, which means that if the Beacons can beat EastCon, they're definitely out of the title discussion for the regular season. But even if the Beacons can tie Eastern Connecticut State, UMass Boston would be in the driver's seat. WestCon only has one loss. EastCon only has one loss. The Beacons at 2-0-1. And this year more than ever, the number 1 seed means a ton because the number 1 seed hosts both the semifinals and finals. So even if you're the 2 seed, you don't get to host any games. You get a bye, but then you have to go on the road. Big advantage, especially when it comes to UMass Boston, a smaller pitch versus Western Connecticut State, the biggest pitch in the world. It's quite massive. If you ever go down to the Westside Athletic Complex, you're talking about not just sleeping in your own bed, which is typically the big focus, not having to get on a bus, not having to sleep in a hotel, not eating fast food. You're talking about the difference between playing on a pitch that you're very comfortable playing on and that you practice on every day. It affects your set pieces versus going to Eastern. You might play on grass, which is different for both EastCon and WestCon, or to Western, and you're playing on a much wider field. Those things matter a ton. So that game on Tuesday night really could play a big factor not only to who's the number 1 seed, but to who that home team should be a decently sized favorite because of the fact they'll get a chance to play on their preferred playing surface.
So for UMass Boston, of course, they'll have a couple of big games coming up. But taking a look ahead for UMass Boston, Seth, you talked about that Eastern Connecticut State game, the Southern Maine games, 2 big back-to-back games. Can't overlook Southern Maine, obviously, and then at Plymouth State, and then, of course, a little non-conference matchup with Framingham State as well. So there's a couple of matches in there that we talk about. They have the 2 big back-to-back and then the one at Plymouth State. But then you're able to kind of get your footing, you could say, with Framingham State coming to town.
Yeah, and Framingham State beat this Curry team yesterday. Last year they beat the Beacons, but last year's Beacons team is nothing like this year's Beacons team. The reason this EastCon game means even more is because the Beacons have already played Western, who's in the top 4. They've already played Castleton, who we think is going to figure things out. The only game left after Eastern that the Beacons won't be pretty heavily favored is the Rhode Island College game, and that one's here at home. And again, Rhode Island College plays on grass, and their field, when wet, it is a little bit of a muddy surface. So for the Beacons to play at home against Rick, that's a big advantage. That EastCon game is pivotal because if the Beacons can get a result there, they should be favored the rest of the way. It'll give them a great chance to be that number 1 seed. So that Eastern game, can't emphasize it enough. But again, you can't overlook your opponent. It's a lot of big games for the other teams as well as UMass Boston. Who would have thought? Another busy weekend here, not just on campus, but around the rest of Beaconville.
And, of course, a volleyball in action coming up on Friday, and then Saturday, a busy day, as you mentioned, Seth. But, for UMass Boston, both that men's soccer team, a tough one last night, but a team that is trying to continue their push as well. They'll host Southern Maine, that game on Saturday at noon. So there's a couple of games, especially around Beaconville, coming up this weekend that'll be big games for not only UMass Boston, but for their opponents as well. There's some teams trying to creep back into the swing of things, and for the men's soccer team, just trying to get back on track to that 5-0 victory over Castleton.
Well, the men's soccer team at 2-0-1, a half game behind Keene State, who's 3-0, so that's another big one against the Southern Maine team, who's currently going through a bad stretch. Women's tennis, not the greatest of seasons, still looking for that first win, but UMass Dartmouth on the other side, a conference opponent looking for a top seed. And then volleyball, going out to California, had a bad loss on Tuesday where they never really competed with Tufts, a chance to play some out-of-region opponents and get better. So that'll be fun to watch. In cross-country back after a 2-week absence. So it's nice to see all of these teams having some important games here in early October.
And for UMass Boston, you talk about being overlooked. And for the Beacons, this was a team on the women's side that was predicted 5th in the Little East Conference poll. And look where we are right now. It's definitely something to think about, especially for UMass Boston. You go into that Southern Maine game, there's things that they're looking at, but one of those things being this is a Little East Conference that's been shaken up early to start the year.
Well, the one thing that the Beacons knew going into this season was the other top teams all lost something. Western lost their top 2 forwards. Eastern lost their starting forward. Keene lost their back line. The Beacons knew that with the talent they brought in that they would have a chance. Jacqueline O'Grady said as much in the season preview. Not only said as much, she specifically pointed out each of those losses. Well, the Beacons lost a couple players from last year's team, but replaced it with even more talent. So UMass Boston had that big recruiting advantage. And the other thing is, this freshman class, they don't know any better. And that naivete is great because they go in and they play Western and they say, oh, this is a conference game. Well, we're just going to play the same way. And yeah, it was more physical. It was a little bit more intense, but we're going to play well. And hopefully that's the case against Eastern again on Tuesday because the players who played in the past know how disciplined Eastern is, know how good they are on set pieces, know they're good at drawing penalty kicks. Well, this group doesn't know that, and sometimes it's better to go in with a clean sheet rather than an accumulation of all those past tars where the Beacons have been losing to some of these top teams by 2 or 3, even 4 goals the last couple of seasons.
And for UMass Boston, we talk about a 4-0 lead right now as we head into action here for the second half, just about to get underway here against Curry College. And Seth, the question becomes for both of these teams how this second half is played. For Curry, nothing went their way in that first half, and for UMass Boston, everything went their way, and you realistically could say that this game could be a 5-6-0 deficit as well. What do you think the key is, especially for UMass Boston with such a big lead, but also for Curry trying to get their footing after a couple of tough losses and now here trailing 4-0 as we head to the second half?
Well, the Beacons are going to bring out Jacqueline O'Grady. It looks like they're bringing out most of the starters here, with the exception of Kate Leavitt stays on for the Beacons. Even Abby McCulloch is on, and I don't think she'll play the full 90. Kind of hope she doesn't, because I want to get to see some of these other goalies in action. You never know when an injury can take out a goal, and you don't want to have a goalie who has no collegiate experience, or at least Little East experience. So I want to see the Beacons continue to push the ball. You don't want to run up the score, but you don't want to just pass the ball back and forth, because there is a little thing called momentum, and I do believe in it. For Curry, be a little bit more precise, be a lot better at communicating amongst that back four. That's the biggest focus right now. They don't play again until Nichols on the 9th of October, which I think is either Tuesday or Wednesday next week. This back four has to figure it out. Yes, they don't have Isabel Shields, who's one of their better players, out with a red card after yesterday's game. Yes, they have tired legs, but communication, that's not something that fatigue should hurt. You just need to do a better job of figuring out what UMass Boston's doing, and hopefully they were able to pick some things out with Brigida Palatino during the break.
So we're back underway here between UMass Boston and Curry College here at James Cotter Field. UMass Boston in front 4-0 as we get set here for this second half. And now a battle for the ball. Knocked down to the deck was Cal Pitts. Played far side to Billiak, who had a excellent first half, including a ball to Allie Crawford that resulted in a goal. As that one is deflected out of bounds, it'll be a throw-in for UMass Boston.
And this is actually the scariest top three the Beacons have gone with all season long. You have McGettrick, O'Grady, and Buscarin, 3 center forwards by trade who are playing together for the first time all season. This is going to be tough because all 3 are big, strong, physical players who can score from distance. Curry's going to, talking about communicating, they're going to have to be willing to body some of these Beacons players. Otherwise, UMass Boston's just going to create extra space.
Pitts was there to head it away. And you talk about 3 of those players for UMass Boston that have had success already this year. But for UMass Boston, not only is this a time to start to play those players together and get a feel for them to come together, but this also might be a combination that you throw together in a couple of big Little East Conference games coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this group playing together against a physical back line that has good pace, because the Beacons typically use some of their smaller players, Jalila Ocampo, Grace Oliver, Morgan Palma, because their pace can give back lines trouble. If you're playing a group that's maybe even smaller with good pace, you use this group to try to bully them a little bit with your size. And the big thing is you can afford to play like this because both McGettrick and Buscarin are very good passers. Typically, center forwards are very good shooters and maybe a little bit selfish. All 3 of these players have been looking for each other throughout this game.
7 goals and 3 assists combined between those 3 players this year for UMass Boston. So by the numbers, they've also produced as well. Mary Jo Murphy back there and plays it forward. That one was deflected off a purple jersey. Now a turnover. Borges tried to play middle, and a little miscommunication with Kenya Wade and Fahey, and they have to just clear it out quickly, but it's back at the top of the 18. Long shot with the left foot, blocked by Wade, and it rolls out of bounds, but they gave Randall an opportunity with the left foot, and Randall just had it blocked by Wade. But again, as we talked about defensively for UMass Boston, kind of having to stay alert against a Curry College team, still trying to find their offensive momentum, but this is a very capable team, and UMass Boston having to be willing to defend as well.
I mean, you talk about it, they come in with 31 goals in 13 games. Yes, a lot of them came in 3 results, but they've still been scoring for the most part. This is a chance for Curry, as McGetrick was losing her footing and nearly went face first into her bench. This is a chance for them to gain some confidence. They really struggled yesterday, were shut out. They've now been shut out in 5 consecutive halves. Get 1 goal. That's the big focus here for, in my opinion, for Curry. Get that 1 goal here. Get some offensive confidence. Put some pressure on the Beacons, and maybe you can make them think.
Played towards the middle, and there was Borges there, but it rolled just a bit too far. That one roll out of bounds for a goal kick. McCulloch will take it for UMass Boston, but again, Curry creating a good chance here in this match.
That was a nice pass from Maddie Wilson. She just couldn't get anything on it. Curry taking a page out of the Beacons book where it looked like a player might shoot. They make the extra pass, then they make another extra pass to the on-rushing player. That was what led to the goal for Eryn Kelly for UMass Boston. It's 2 different Beacons scored their first goal of the season. For Kelly, the sophomore, it was her first goal of her career.
That one sent out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for UMass Boston. Beacons coming into this second half. So far have been very solid offensively. And here early in this second half, not as many chances, but that first half was filled with them early and often. We'll get a foul here on UMass Boston.
It's a great little battle between Borges and Fahey. Fahey recognizing that if Borges was able to win that ball, she might get the turn on her. And a little bit of a hold to draw the foul, but that's a place you can afford giving up the foul midfield when the entire team is going the other way. And I've really liked what I've seen out of both of the Beacon center backs today. They've communicated extremely well.
Buscarin giving way, and it's a chase. O'Grady gets there first. O'Grady inside the 18, trying to turn, and now has to just drop it off for Murphy. Into the middle, Buscarin. Good low ball, and now a shot, and that one is saved by DeMeo that time, but how about a well-drawn-up play by UMass Boston and a good ball for Mary Jo Murphy gave Buscarin a chance on that.
I thought Murphy was going to dribble and take the space she was given. Instead, just a perfect ball to the feet of Buscarin, holding off the defender, totally legal. Just didn't get enough on that ball to really challenge DeMeo. That was a tremendous job by O'Grady to use contact against the center back to create space without fouling her, as she was behind to start that foot race and then was able to gain the space.
Now a long shot, and that one just goes high over the bar. Great opportunity there by McCulloch. Or excuse me, as McCulloch had to try and make that save, but just goes high, and now UMass Boston will get a goal kick.
Well, that's how you beat a smaller goalie. You go high. It's very difficult for someone who stands under 5'5" to get up to that crossbar. Wilson just couldn't quite put it on frame.
Couple of good chances early for Wilson in the second half. Now Fahey plays it forward. Ball to Buscarin. She plays middle, and nobody was in the area. So it's turned over, and the Colonels will bring it. Long shot once again, that time off the bar, and couldn't be headed down by Curry. And now McCulloch will pick it up. Well, they found what they want to do. They want to go high. That went a long opportunity there. And McCulloch had to use the bar.
We've seen this in the past against smaller keepers for UMass Boston. Danny Perkins in the 2014 championship game. I'm dating myself here against Keene State. Keene figured out with about 20 minutes to go at the Beacons leading 1-0 that Perkins didn't have the vertical leap to get up to a bar that hit the get up to a shot that hit the bar. They took a shot, went just over, and then they peppered high shots for the next 15 minutes before they tied the game, finally getting one. I mean, that's a proven way to beat smaller goalies.
O'Grady, nice move inside, and it's picked up by DeMeo. Talk about being aggressive with Jacqueline O'Grady. She's had a couple of chances, and really for O'Grady, could say she arguably could have 4 goals in this match.
I think she should have 2, maybe 3. Cardinal sin to not put a penalty kick on frame. She deserved to take it. She was the one who drew it. And then kneeing that one high, that's so hard in that instance where you're just trying to get there. It was just out ahead of her, and unfortunately she kneed a ball from just in front of the goal line over the bar. But O'Grady with a little bit better finishing could easily have the hat trick, if not more. The Beacons have been so unselfish today, and they've done a great job of stringing passes together, not giving Curry time to get back to set up their defense. This has been the most impressive offensive performance we've seen from UMass Boston, and we still have over 35 minutes to play.
Another throw in from Biliak. It's been touch and go game over there on the far side, and Curry will now get the throw in. As they battle and just trying to get it towards the middle of the field now. The Colonels will have an opportunity as long run there. Borges gets there. She'll look to make a move in, takes a shot with the right foot, and that one hits off the side of the bar. Never really a one that challenges McCulloch that time, but Borges now starting to get a good foot on it.
Well, McCulloch knew it the whole time. It looked pretty good from up here, but Abby immediately knowing that shot was going to go wide or hit the post and was very confident. It's been really impressive. Curry's come out with a renewed energy and a renewed focus offensively. They've challenged the Beacons, and I'm honestly surprised that more teams haven't tried to do this, because you don't need to scout to see that a goalie's 5'4", and unless she's a champion high jumper or long jumper, it's very difficult for one of those keepers to have an immense leap. This is kind of what I expected Curry to come out to start this game. And now the only problem is they're trying to dig themselves out of a 4-0 hole rather than a 0-0 game or a 1-0 game.
Ball near side, and mentioned Curry coming out with some energy offensively. But again, you talk about Abby McCulloch and will she play all 90? This would be a good time, especially for UMass Boston, to maybe get another keeper in there just to give her a test, because clearly Curry is coming out offensively trying to create some chances here in the second half.
Well, the Beacons already have 4 subs over the table after 10 minutes in this half. So you might see 4 starters head to the bench for the rest of the game. I think that maybe McCulloch gets a full 60 minutes in this one, but can't imagine she gets much more.
So we'll see if these players will make way, and they will not. So we'll have a throw in here. That one goes out of bounds. UMass Boston in front 4-0, and it's been a second half that hasn't looked a lot like the first. Lots of chances offensively for UMass Boston in that first half, but Curry has since slowed down a few of those, and here comes a counter for the Beacons.
3v3, that's what Curry can't afford to do.
O'Grady with it. She plays it in for Buscarin, who just can't get there. Good ball in from O'Grady, and she tried to play it a little bit tighter, but Buscarin just was unable to chase it down, and now here come the subs. Pitts coming out, Buscarin coming out, and also exiting the game is O'Grady.
Number 9, Katie Pasquale.
So Oliver and Pasquale check in. And also into the game is Palma. So now we see the substitutes come in for UMass Boston. They take out that front line of O'Grady and Buscarin there. You see them head to the bench. Throw in here.
Well, and McGetrick's out, and Leavitt stays on. So Leavitt, who probably hasn't played more than 25, 30 minutes in a game, see if she gets the full 45 or even 30 minutes here in the second half.
Here's on the near side with it is Pasquale. Played it for Mary Jo Murphy. Murphy stepped into it, was able to keep it alive. Now it's Pasquale again. And it has to be just cleared out of bounds by the Colonels, but that possession was kept again by another good play by Mary Jo Murphy just to get her foot in.
Well, Murphy working with their high school teammate. Pasquale and Murphy both played together at Burncoat Regional High School out in Worcester, and one of the few times they've been together on the same side.
That one played forward for Oliver. Not sure if the flag would have gone up, but a bit too far anyway.
Seen a better job of DeMeo coming off her line, recognizing the Beacons are trying to play in behind that back four, and twice now she's made the play here in the second half. Also, Curry update, the entire bench is up, warming up again, as clearly they have a focus. Once it hits a certain point in the half, they're going to try to start getting their substitutes on, trying to bring in a little bit of fresh energy.
So here's Pasquale trying to chase it down. That one played out of bounds, and it now will be a corner kick for UMass Boston, a category they dominated in the first half.
No Crawford out on the field, though, so who's going to elect to take it? No one seems eager to do it.
Still no one over there, and now will finally get
UMass Boston
a player to move over to take it.
11, Kate Leavitt.
It'll be Kate Leavitt to take it. And for Leavitt, like you mentioned, who hasn't played and seen a ton of action so far this year, maybe just confused that she was going to take it.
Well, Leavitt is a very good free kick taker. She's also a pretty good player in the box in terms of her heading ability, so she's very good on both sides.
That one played in towards the middle, couple white jerseys there. It's knocked away, and again, it was Eryn Kelly who got the first body on it as it came in. So starting to see some different players really make their impact known here in this second half.
Well, Kelly played as a back her entire freshman season. A lot of times she was a center back. Beacons played a lot of back three last season, but now she's in a defensive midfielder role, switching in with Pitts here, and she's getting a chance to go forward a little bit more, and we've seen her score once. We've seen her create another couple of opportunities. This offensive firepower for the Beacons and this energy is kind of infectious. Everybody's coming on is looking to push forward. Beacons had 18 shots in that first half, and my guess is you probably see 8 or 9 different players with at least one shot.
Oliver with it. She gives it back. That one played in towards the box. And offside play here, so that goal will not count. And offsides was Pasquale. She was in behind, but very clearly looked to be behind that back line before that ball was sent in towards the box.
She tried to slow up her run. She recognized that she might be offside. She was just a step early. But that's another great ball, recognizing that this Curry team, they're very flat, and they're also not always aware of the runs that the Beacons are making. The Beacons have caught Curry on a similar play 2 or 3 times in the first half.
Now Leavitt will try and send a long ball forward. That one too far for Palma. And again, another good opportunity for UMass Boston to try that long ball forward. Battle for it. Played a touch by the Colonels, but there's Kenya Wade, and now she got that taken away from her. Far side. Colonel's trying to send it in, and it got blocked by Wade. And that's something, Seth, we've seen a couple mistakes at times from Kenya Wade, but she's able to make up with it, make up that play with the closing speed as well.
Yeah, the message to Wade from the Beacons coaching staff is simple and quick. And occasionally when she makes a play like that, where she elects to play with the ball at her feet, it can cause some trouble. The positive is she's an elite athlete. She's extremely quick. She's extremely talented, so she can make up for those mistakes. But we saw it against Emmanuel when that led to the first goal. Sometimes Kenya needs to just get the ball off her feet, push it out of bounds, or just boot it downfield rather than trying to start the offense, which she's proven that she can do today. We've seen her go forward a couple times, but in a closer game, that could be the difference between a win and a loss or a tie and a loss. She played really well against UMass Dartmouth. But that's something the Beacons are really working with her on practice.
Middle Mary Jo Murphy trying to play it for Oliver. That was cleared away, and it will trickle out of bounds. Be a throw-in for UMass Boston here. The Beacons, again, offensively, we've seen some different names get involved. There have been some similar ones. O'Grady with the first goal, and now Eryn Kelly commits the foul.
It's a great foul. Even if the referee brings up the yellow card, which he's not, Narciso Fernandez doesn't seem interested in bringing out the cards. If you tackle someone in the box and you don't give a card on a yellow on a penalty kick, probably not someone who's going to be card happy. But that's a great foul by Kelly because the ball got by her, and rather than allowing Borges to attack her back line, just gives up the foul, gives Curry the free kick, and it turned out to be a little bit more dangerous than it needed to be on the missed back touch by Rosemond. But allow yourself to get your entire team back behind the ball, and that's worth it for a yellow card, especially in a closer game than we have now.
That one was headed back by the Colonels, and now they just have to clear it up the middle of the field. Taken away. Got to the foot of Mary Jo Murphy, who plays it on a great ball there to Pasquale on the near side, working her way down. Pasquale, touch to Oliver. Oliver outside the box. Turns on the left foot, sends it in low. Couple of white jerseys there, and it's cleared away. Good chance in front. Looks like Palma that time, that was right on the near post. Now sent far side, Biliak. Makes a move. Tried to step in, but that one taken away. Leavitt gets a foot in, now Wade. Cleared back down the field Fahey going to have to try and chase down Borges. Gets there first. Samantha Borges plays middle. Touch a bit too far, and Murphy just has to send that one away. Good stretch there for UMass Boston. And we're able to get back defensively and make a play. Now we're going to have a horn here, but no substitute, and now we will get the sub to come on. So it's going to be, it looks like Breslin comes back in. She replaces Caitlin Bartlett. But again, how about the touch from Mary Jo Murphy? Gave Pasquale a great chance, and then Oliver able to send that ball in for UMass Boston.
Well, we're just kind of growing to expect brilliance out of Mary Jo Murphy. She's just such a talented player who, against UMass Dartmouth, just like O'Grady, we've seen her play in all three positions, forward, midfield, and back. The Beacons have that much confidence where even if she's not practicing as a midfielder or a forward, she just has that natural ability. And it's players like Murphy and O'Grady that make good teams great, because if a player goes down or if you really need a goal, you can rely on those players to move forward. And the Beacons have that depth we keep talking about to make up for when you move Murphy forward, or if you need Murphy in the midfield, they have great outside backs. They just have so much talent around these players, and it's a unique talent who can play all three positions, and you don't see any let-up.
We've seen a lot of different players at different positions today. This non-conference matchup, and a 4-0 lead for UMass Boston. We've had some leeway here in the second half, but they have not let up, and now Pasquale trying to get something started offensively, but it's cleared away. Kenya Wade heads it down, trying to get it to her foot. Shields a defender and then turns it over for the Beacons. Now far side. Here's going to be a long shot with the right foot that was blocked by 3 white jerseys in front.
Yeah, that was an ambitious effort from Randall. She had no angle. There were 3 players directly in front of her. That time you just have to look for the pass rather than just forcing a shot.
Pasquale gives it off to Oliver. Now Grace Oliver works with it. Trying to play it forward. Is it going to be a bit too far? It might. It trickles out of bounds, and we'll see. It will be a goal kick for Curry. So good defensive play there from Jocelyn Diamond.
I liked the play from Oliver. I just wish when she opened up, she'd fed it to Palm on the opposite side, switched fields, and allowed the midfield to step forward.
That one played forward, and now that time a tough challenge there. And it was coming from Courtney Cushing, the freshman, and now you give UMass Boston a chance with Rosemont hitting the deck from a decent spot.
I think this is a shot. I think that Leavitt certainly has the foot, and Oliver has a really strong left foot. I think you have to put this on frame. You're talking just about 30 yards out. Beacons really haven't pressured DeMayo much in this half. Let one of these players take a crack at it.
We'll see what they decide to do here. Oliver runs up. Now it's going to be Leavitt to take it, and she sends it on target and into the back of the net. It's a goal for Leavitt, and UMass Boston has taken a 5-0 advantage after the set piece and free kick opportunity. That time that came from Kate Leavitt.
A perfect strike over the wall and then down, a really difficult spot. That ball bounced maybe a foot and a half ahead of DeMayo. She just couldn't quite get there. I think she got her hand on it, actually, but it bounces in. And that's a perfect shot from Leavitt. It's typically Crawford's ball, and the Beacons showing they have the depth with Leavitt in there. Another great look on a free kick.
Played back by Leavitt now, and again for UMass Boston getting that second goal from Kate Leavitt. And the Beacons taking a 5-0 lead, and now still in complete control. That one sent a bit too far by Leavitt for Palma. But UMass Boston delivers there, and you mentioned it, Seth. There were a couple of plays that UMass Boston had on opportunities for Grace Oliver and Kate Leavitt, and it made that free kick much more interesting when you have 2 great legs in Grace Oliver and Kate Leavitt over top of that ball.
Well, it just keeps the goalie honest, because if she knows that it's coming from the righty or if she knows it's coming from the lefty, she's going to make up her mind well before the shot. Even if Oliver just runs over it, it's clear that she's not taking the shot. The goalie doesn't have as much time to repair, and that was just a perfect strike. If you hit it low, especially on turf, it makes it really difficult for goalies to be able to handle that high hop. On grass, you're not going to get as much of the hop, but on this turf, a little bit spongier, a perfect ball. And this is what Leavitt can do. She went off against Plymouth State last year in the Beacons' first win of the season. She had 2 goals off of free kicks. She's a really dangerous player and only makes the Beacons a better side here in October when they have her available. I'm not sure if and when she'll start, because the Beacons really like their midfield 3. But Leavitt showing, A, that she can play 30, 40 minutes in this game, and B, that she's another offensive weapon for the Beacons if and when they need a goal.
UMass Boston will see a much different result against Curry than what they saw last year. Of course, took the loss at Curry. And for UMass Boston, that was the final game of a 9-game road trip, so a much different time than what happened just a season ago.
Checking on for UMass Boston, number 6, Gabby Riley.
And now a substitution for UMass Boston. Gabby Riley comes in. And for Curry, it'll be Madison Vigna that will come in as well. So again, for the Beacons, second all-time meeting against Curry, and this one going a little bit differently. Played towards the middle here for Oliver. She leaves it far side. Now at the foot of Rhodes. Plays it forward. That one chased down far side, sent in towards the middle of the box, and headed away by a couple of purple jerseys, and it'll be a corner kick for UMass Boston once again.
UMass Boston corner kick.
It'll be Grace Oliver that'll run over to take it. So Oliver set to take the corner for UMass Boston. Lots of bodies up near the top of that 18. That's one thing that has looked good for UMass Boston today, has been set piece off the corner here, and that one another ball that's played in towards that far post, and good shield that time. It goes off of a Beacon, and it will be out for a goal kick. But a positive note for UMass Boston, there have been a lot of white jerseys inside the box that have gotten a touch on a couple of good corner kicks from Grace Oliver.
Yeah, and the Beacons have been good on set pieces this season. We've seen Crawford score from distance. We've seen O'Grady score from distance. The Beacons have scored off a couple of corner kicks recently. That's Gabby Riley, who's now been in there for 3 touches in the first minute and a half of play. Hasn't played since the second game of the season. One of the Beacons' 6 returners who's lost a lot of playing time to these freshmen. But honestly, the Beacons haven't done too much differently on their set pieces today. It's just Curry is not doing a good job of man marking on these corner kicks.
That was Palma that tried to take the shot. She got it through a couple of bodies, but it deflected off her own player, Gabby Riley. And now Colonels will look to counter on the attack here. Played towards the middle. Back and forth, couple of touches, and a little bit too far for Wilson. As it rolls out of bounds, it'll be a throw-in for UMass Boston here.
And this is the point we talked about. The Beacons have put a lot of their starters on the bench. The back 4 hasn't changed, so you have 3.5, 4 starters there, as Biliak has been sharing the starting responsibilities with Jackie Turner. But the midfield is totally a different look. The forwards, Palma, I think, got the start today. She's been a starter on and off. Oliver started occasionally. But realistically, this is a group in the midfield and the forwards who haven't seen as much time, who haven't put up the same big numbers as some of the starters. Can this group continue to generate opportunities? And more importantly, if you're Abby McCulloch in the back line, can they also fulfill their defensive responsibilities? So the Beacons really want this clean sheet.
That one played, and Palma now with it, plays it to Oliver. That one a bit too far. Palma will chase it down, though. Played back for Biliak. I think our question might have been answered about McCulloch, if how long she'll play. Still nobody up to replace her in this match. Here in the middle. Good footwork here. And brought up quickly by Wilson, or excuse me, that was Randall. That one cleared away. And now a long ball forward that has to be chased down by Diamond.
I think Grace Oliver's played really well, but she just allowed Taylor Randall to dribble right past her into space. That's what we're talking about. Can these forwards and midfielders keep focused on the defense while still looking for those goals? That was an instance where a Beacon got caught a little bit too focused on the offensive side of the ball.
That was Vinya. They got the turnover there, now inside the box, and touched away by UMass Boston. Murphy there. That one taken by Borges. Works her way into the corner. And a good defensive play by UMass Boston. It's sent out, but Borges, she had some room and just unable to create anything offensively.
Well, she had some room because Eryn Kelly and Mary Jo Murphy occupied the same exact space and weren't able to communicate. It led to the turnover.
Randall goes crashing into the UMass Boston sign behind the goal. And now Biliak will let it roll out for a goal kick.
That was a hard hit into the A-frame behind the goal line there. I mean, there's not a lot to those A-frames, just enough to keep them from flying away. So it wouldn't physically hurt a player, but it is interesting as Randall went in hard and the signs bent a little bit after Randall flung her body into the A-frame.
So here's Mary Jo Murphy now. The Colonels still trying to look for that main first attack. We haven't mentioned a lot of the forwards and different players for Curry up front, and mostly in part because they haven't gotten a ton of touches. Randall, along with Wilson and Borges, have been the three that have gotten the majority of the touches when that ball has gone forward, but that midfield just has not seen a lot of action, a lot of possession time as they work their way upfield now.
Well, the other thing is every time that a Curry player touches the ball in the attacking half, typically it's a 1v3 or a 2v4. The Beacons have gotten numbers back, whereas Curry's keeping some of their defenders back against a possible counterattack.
That's a long shot that's not going to challenge McCulloch. It came off the foot of Courtney Cushing, freshman midfielder. McCulloch will now play it here for UMass Boston and send it downfield. Approaching just under the 15-minute mark here. And the Beacons will bring on another sub.
Boston, number 11, Kate Leavitt.
Grace Oliver out. And Kate Leavitt comes back in for UMass Boston. A couple goals to her credit, one off a header, and then able to finish on the free kick opportunity with a low shot, bounced up off the turf, and DeMeo just unable to get there. And you look at Caitlin DeMeo, and obviously the number's now going to be inflated a little bit. But a couple of these goals, you can't even say it was the fault of DeMeo. That back line let in a couple of opportunities that really, unless UMass Boston missed a couple of chances, that was always going to be a goal and looked like it from up here.
I don't know if any of the 5 goals today would be goals that DeMeo says, I need to make that stop. Or Brigida Palatino pulls your goalie aside and says, you got to get that one. I mean, the first goal was one-on-one with Jackie O'Grady from 14 yards out. That's not one that O'Grady's going to miss too frequently. That last goal certainly wasn't. Even the Eryn Kelly goal, there was a little traffic in front, and she couldn't really see as the ball squirted past her. It's difficult to remember each and every goal when there's 5 of them, but I don't think DeMeo's played poorly. We've seen her be more aggressive here in the second half, which she didn't do enough of in the second half, helping out her teammates with the Beacons playing balls in behind. But with the exception of that, I think she's had a pretty good game. It's just the Beacons, especially in that first half, they just haven't slowed down.
And, of course, the header by Leavitt was inside the 6, so that one also probably not at the fault of the keeper, DeMeo.
And again, I mean, that's a 5'6" player. That was a hard hit header by Kate Leavitt, who also, that ball is being headed by a player close to 6 feet. Leavitt listed at 5'7". I think she's an inch or two taller than that. That's not an easy one for a smaller goalie.
Another substitute set to come on for UMass Boston, and now Curry will make a couple of subs. So we'll see a couple of new purple jerseys come on. Palma comes out for UMass Boston as Pasquale will check back in.
And for UMass Boston, number 9, Katie Pasquale.
So substitutes in now for both sides, but again, that back line has stayed the same for UMass Boston as Wade plays it forward. She hit the deck hard. And we'll get a foul. They were playing advantage there for Kenya Wade as she hit the turf. Clock now approaching 12 minutes to go here in this match. And so far it's been smooth sailing for the Beacons. The Beacons have found their way, found it early in the first half. The goal from Jacqueline O'Grady. And after that, they continue to pour it on. Even missed a couple of opportunities, which is tough to say in a 5-0 game.
Well, it's Jake Beverland, the Beacons men's soccer coach's favorite thing to say in his post-game interviews that, well, we won 3-0, but it should have been 6 or 7. Today, I think Amy Zombeck, even Jacqueline O'Grady could say that because realistically, in the first 15 minutes, O'Grady should have had a hat trick. And she added a good chance here in the second half. She could have had 4. But you're not always going to finish every one of your chances. And the big thing is the Beacons didn't let Curry back into the game. It took a while to get that second goal, but up 4-0 at halftime. And then the goal from Leavitt, it's been an offensive onslaught from UMass Boston. They continue to go forward here with the group that really hasn't played much together at all. The combination of Nolan, Pasquale, and Riley. I mean, you're looking at 3 players who don't see consistent playing time, and now they're leading the attack here for UMass Boston in the final 11 minutes.
Of course, Pasquale has played in 6 games. Nolan appeared in 5. And even Kate Leavitt, who's got 2 goals in this game, she's only appeared in 5, of course trying to work her way back in. But for UMass Boston, this is a group that doesn't have all the experience this year, but this is a Beacon team that knows, especially going into Little East Conference play and going into that postseason, the deeper you are, the better. When it comes to postseason action, you can go deep down that bench. Can cause a lot of problems for your opponents. And now we'll see another substitute come on for the Colonels. As Caitlin Bartlett checks in. And she'll replace Diamond, who sees her first rest of the contest. And now another sub for the Colonels here.
Checking on for Curry College, number 18, Amanda DeMeo.
And it'll be Amanda DeMeo, the sister of the goalkeeper, Caitlin DeMeo.
Elijah, going back to that last point, you're 100% right. It's huge to have that depth come postseason, but it's huge for UMass Boston during this little stretch. Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday. That's a little bit tighter with 3 games with only 6 days in between. So it helps UMass Boston because Allie Crawford only played 45, 50 minutes today. Because Cal Pitts only played 50 minutes. Because Jalila Ocampo was able to sit. That'll help come Tuesday when the Beacons aren't quite as tired.
Pasquale plays it in front. Opportunity there, and it was knocked away. Good chance for Gabby Riley in front of the net, but good defensive play by the Colonels, and now they'll try and work up field, and that probably one of the best chances of the second half that was not put home.
That's just a great job by Pasquale to track down the ball right along the goal line, and for Riley, she was inches away from her first collegiate goal. The sophomore just missed getting there in time.
So Mary Jo Murphy will throw it in for UMass Boston. Swing going to be chased down by the Beacons. Played forward for Pasquale. Trying to get back on side over there is Riley. Pasquale takes it to her right foot. Tried to find Riley sneaking through. But instead hits off a purple jersey and goes back out top.
Pasquale has to get her head up. She had Nolan wide open in space on the far side, but she was focused on slipping it through for Riley that time.
Played middle, now back to Eryn Kelly. Kelly goes back, and Fahey plays to Murphy. Mary Jo Murphy still in the contest. Talk about a player that we thought might get rested here in this second half, but Murphy's been out there.
I mean, Mary Jo Murphy is one of the fittest soccer players I've ever seen, and she never really seems to get tired. The other thing is this Beacons back four, the more time they can work together. I mean, we're going to keep saying it throughout this season. The better chemistry they're going to get, the more situations they can see in a live game, and it's only going to help them. The other thing is they haven't had to work as hard as if they were the team who had to face 25 shots in that first half.
Couple of substitutes now, and Curry College makes a change. It'll be Lauren Clapper that comes in. So Clapper checks in. And a throw-in set to come for Curry College. Bounces to the foot of Leavitt. Taken away, and the Colonels work their way up. Near side, right at the foot of Vinya. Tried to play it a little bit further to Clapper, but it was knocked away. And a whiff there by Kelly. Long opportunity, which looked like it might have tried to seek a run, but there was nobody there from the midfielder, Sarah McGrath, the sophomore.
It's too bad because for one little stretch in this game, let's say 3 or 4 minutes of the second half, Curry had a game plan. They were passing the ball well. They were challenging McCulloch high. That one ball went just over the bar. Another shot hit off the underside of the bar. And then they had a third shot go off the post on the far side. They were starting to create, but now they've started settling for those long shots where they're being pressured a little bit and they're not able to put it on target. This Curry team, they just need a little spark on offense. And they've got a couple of days of practice before they play Nichols to figure it out. Curry 0-2-1. It's not the greatest of starts in conference play, but you just need that first victory, get a goal or two. All you have to do is make it to the conference tournament, and that's the big thing, especially here at Division III in a one-bid conference. Doesn't matter if you're the 6th seed, the 8th seed, or the 1 seed. If you get in, you give yourself a chance to get into the NCAA tournament, and then everyone starts at 0-0.
We've seen so many times that teams that win that conference, especially at the D3 level, aren't normally the teams that end up getting into that NCAA tournament. Shot is blocked there. Pasquale had the chance. A few times you even see teams that looked very dominant in conference. They say that it might have been out of play.
I think that was the expectation of the AR that the ball was going out because looked from my angle as if Mary Jo Murphy made an incredible play to keep it in. It's crazy that she still has that much left in the tank this late in the game.
And a substitution now for the Colonels. They make a move.
Checking on for Curry College, number 16, Julia Carey.
It's Julia Carey seeing some action now for Curry College. But for UMass Boston, your team trying to gain some momentum here down this stretch. And that game against Eastern Connecticut State, definitely going to be a big one that pretty much everyone in the Little East Conference will have their eye on as well. But a game really for some momentum for one of those teams. That one swung a bit wide and out of play.
Well, and Eastern had the exact opposite result this week. They played a much tougher opponent, Connecticut College, regionally ranked. They play in the NESCAC Conference, one of the best conferences in New England year in and year out. But Eastern was handed a 6-0 loss last night against Connecticut College. They were outshot heavily, so they're going to have some things to work on, and they're certainly going to want to bounce back. And there's no real perfect or clear way to think about it. Sometimes playing a tough opponent helps you get better, but it can also damage your momentum, damage how your players feel about your team. Sometimes playing a team that's not quite as strong gets your team a little bit more confidence, momentum. I think it also depends on the mentality of a team. UMass Boston is a young team. The more confidence they can get, the better, especially after they were struggling to finish against UMass Dartmouth to get 5 in this one. But I don't think we're going to see 5 or 6 goals in that game between the Beacons and Eastern, at least not 5 for either side. Both of those teams very strong defensive sides, and it could come down to who's able to finish one of their 2 or 3 good chances, or who's the team that can execute on set pieces. And that's what I like from UMass Boston. They've scored a lot of goals in a variety of ways today, off a free kick, off a corner kick, off of open play. UMass Boston's looked dangerous in all facets of the game.
That one goes out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for UMass Boston, but you mentioned it, Seth. They have looked very solid so far, and now battle for the ball. And
a little bit of a wrestling move there by Kate Leavitt.
That was a takedown there by Leavitt that allowed for the foul to be called. And, not only have we talked about the shakeup so far in the Little East Conference, but another thing to note, and we've talked about it a little bit throughout the broadcast, is a win against Eastern Connecticut State can really distance yourself, especially for that number 1 seed, just knowing that there are a couple of teams behind you that, in all reality, you've played a lot better than so far.
Well, and head-to-head. That's such a key. I mean, Western's played a much tougher schedule than UMass Boston. Eastern always plays a tough schedule. This Beacons team, the schedule wasn't that tough because they didn't know quite how good they were going to be. I think as this freshman class grows and develops, Amy Zombeck will up that level of strength of schedule because they'll be able to challenge with it, no question. But I think that game is so pivotal because if the Beacons can take care of business Saturday, we're not going to overlook Southern Maine, then UMass Boston would not only be ahead of both Eastern and Western in terms of losses, they'd also have the head-to-head. They would have beaten both of those teams, which means Beacons don't have a one-game lead over those sides. They essentially have a two-game lead, and all of the Beacons' rest of the games they should be favored in. The Beacons can't win the conference on Tuesday, but they can go a long way. They can also they can't quite lose it either, but they could hurt their odds if they do suffer a loss on their home turf.
And you mentioning widening that strength of schedule, for Division III level, it's tough to widen that strength of schedule, especially with travel-wise and different things. But if you can widen that schedule to give yourself a couple of very tough opponents and get a couple of wins, that at-large bid becomes a lot easier, especially heading down the stretch as well.
And we've seen it out of the Little East Conference. This conference has gotten 2 bids in, but a big part of it is you not only have to play tough competition, but the Little East needs to have 3 or 4 good teams. If you're in a year where there's only 1 or 2, this year it looks like there's 3 really solid teams at the top. You give yourself a chance.
That one is
1 minute to play in regulation.
Now going to go out of bounds, and we've hit the 1-minute mark to go in this contest. And UMass Boston in full control with a 5-0 lead between the UMass Boston Beacons and the Curry College Colonels here at James Cotter Field. That one's sent forward, brought down, but taken away now. UMass Boston will see if they try to go for one more attack or just send it away and try and let this clock bleed with 20 seconds to play now. The throw-in set to come. Comes to Biliak. She just tried to clear it downfield. It was blocked and deflected, and now going to take their time.
10.
Over on that far side.
8, 7.
Long throw-in from Biliak, and this will do it.
3, 2.
We won't see another play here in this match. It rolls out of bounds, and UMass Boston comes away victorious. It's a 5-0 defeat as they defeat Curry College by a score of 5-0 here at James Cotter Field. Seth, it was an all-around terrific performance by the UMass Boston Beacons, and in part because of what they did offensively here in this match. But again, we talked about the back line. They also looked very solid as well. A complete game and a complete win for UMass Boston.
A complete game, a complete 90 minutes for the Beacons, which was really important in this one. Sometimes you get that early goal and you take the foot off the pedal, or you get 2 or 3. The Beacons kept the pressure up in the second half. They could have had 1 or 2 more. It was a really impressive performance, and it's always great when you're in one of these midweek games, and especially when your schedule's a little condensed and you're playing a conference game 2 days later, to be able to take out your starters, not because you want to rest them, but because they've earned the rest, and because the backups played really well today. There aren't really backups on this team because UMass Boston does go 18 to 20 deep typically in their games. But it was really nice to see, especially considering Jalilo Campo wasn't in there, that the Beacons did not miss a beat. And to have Kate Leavitt score 2 goals in a game is absolutely huge because a month ago the Beacons weren't sure if she was going to play in a game this season. They might have had to redshirt her, and now she's coming back and making an impact for a team that already has a ton of impact players.
So UMass Boston able to pick up a 5-0 victory here at home, and a big win for UMass Boston as they get goals from Jacqueline O'Grady, 2 from Kate Leavitt in this match. Eryn Kelly also with a goal, and Allie Crawford also totals a goal here in this match. Well, it's time now we take a look at the statistics from this contest. And Seth, the shots a little bit more even than it really looked in this match, but the shots on goal for UMass Boston, 9 of those on target, just 4 saves obviously for Curry in this match. And then the corners, it created a lot of chances, a lot of set pieces as well.
Well, Kate Leavitt scored off of a corner, then with her head, and then scored off of a free kick with her foot. She was really good on set pieces, and the Beacons could have had more goals. So many times, we mentioned it, that the Beacons were getting their body around the ball on corner kicks. Beacons had a couple instances where they had too many players around the ball that they actually messed up each other's ability to get a clean header off. This was This was a really strong performance. The Beacons can take a lot from what they did offensively in this game, but that back four and Abby McCulloch, you know they're going to love the fact that they pick up another clean sheet. They gave up some goals early on in this season, but for McCulloch, she now has 3 shutouts on the year, and she played well in this game. Didn't have to do all that much, but again, does a great job communicating with that back line and know exactly where that post was on that one tight look from the far side.
So UMass Boston gets the 5-0 win here in a non-conference match, and now, Seth, here comes the stretch that we had discussed here in this broadcast at Southern Maine, and then they'll take on Eastern Connecticut State, and they'll head to Plymouth State and have Framingham State come here on October 16th, that is. But Tuesday and Saturday, those are the 2 big ones that you have circled on your calendar if you're UMass Boston.
Got to get it done at Southern Maine. Does not matter what you do against Eastern Connecticut State if you cannot get the 3 points. And Southern Maine, they're talented. Don't let the conference record fool you at 1-2. They're 8-3 on the season. They got a lot of early wins. They've been good. They forced some overtimes against some better teams. That 2-1 win over Western Connecticut State that 2-1 loss in double overtime against Western. Amy Zombek is going to harp on that. She's already talked about it all week. It's going to be a huge focus at practice and on the bus to Southern Maine on Saturday. The Beacons cannot overlook the Huskies, and they shouldn't. This is a better Southern Maine side. If you can get it done then you set yourself up to put yourself in a really good position if you can get a result against a very good Eastern Connecticut State side.
Eastern Connecticut State at 7-4, 3-1 in Little East Conference play, along with Western Connecticut State at 3-1 in Little East Conference play. And for Southern Maine, they are 1-2 in conference play, but it's, as you mentioned, a couple of tightly contested games down the stretch for Southern Maine. Well, that'll do it for our broadcast. Here from James Conner Field. Once again, our final score, UMass Boston Beacons win it 5-0 here over the Curry College Colonels. For Seth Orensky, I'm Elijah Gonzalez saying so